So I recently updated my portfolio site, and it was meant to be a simple update and just for me to update my work, my recent work, because the last time I updated it was the last time I posted about it, which was also a revamp or redesign kind of thing. I have done quite a few other concepts and other works that I wanted to put on my portfolio, and ended up I was like, okay, maybe I can try to change a little bit of things here, and then update a bit of things here, and then it turned out to be 3 weeks of doing this shit, of spiraling and keep coming up with new shit to do. So I think it's 3 weeks. I mean, it was very loose. It was a loose 3 weeks because I wanted to get back to filming and I wanted to do some other stuff. So it wasn't like a fully focused 3 weeks. I wanted to show a bit of the behind the scenes, like the files, how the file looked like, how the Framer file looked like, how I structured it, and some of the nuances that I think would be quite cool to show, I guess. For the first time, or not say first time, but this is one of the rare times that I purely used Framer only. At least I'm more familiar with Figma. I sort of grew up with Figma, so I always like to default to Figma, but this is the first time where I just like, okay, I just wanted it to be a quick update, so let's just do it in Framer and see how it looks like. There is a dark mode, so in case you didn't notice, I'm not sure how if you didn't notice, but there is a dark mode here. In terms of all the elements here, if you see when I load the preview, right, if you have checked it out already, everything sort of loads in, and this is the first time I ever done something like this, because I always had the preconceived notion that if I animate everything on the site, it will get really laggy when I reload, right? Everything loads in. So even all the text elements here, the background here, it fades in and then everything loads up, if you get what I mean. And then everything, line by line, everything comes up, which is quite intense for me, but I think it enhances the visual hierarchy. You know sort of where to look at first. You will see the text here first, and then because it loads up first, right, you get to see this. You know where to see first, and it's nicer to progress through the whole portfolio. Maybe I should switch it to dark mode. Okay, you know what? I'll switch it to dark mode. I think dark mode is easier to see. If you see, here are all videos. There's a lot of videos in this portfolio. I wanted every project to have a video tied to it, and you can see every single project has one. Initially, I just used the native Framer video, and the problem with that is it doesn't cater the file size or the bitrate depending on the screen. So obviously your computer can load a lot more resolution. It's faster, it loads faster compared to your phone. So if I put a 4K video on the laptop version, technically the laptop will be able to load it at a very fast speed. But when you shrink it down to mobile and you leave it at 4K still, it will just lag the whole thing, right? Because your phone can't load 5 different 4K videos at one time. It needs a lot more time. So with this native component, it doesn't adjust the resolution size, the file size based on the screen and how much the device can load. That was the main problem, and then I was trying to I asked Claude what's the best way to do this, and then I found a few options, and then I realized, okay, it doesn't really work as well. Claude recommended that, okay, the only most perfect kind of tool is Vimeo. Yeah, Vimeo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, so everything, this took a lot of time, by the way. It took a lot of time to record all the screens. That's one. I re-recorded it many times because I had to compress it. I wanted to make sure that it is all similar in the sense that it's not distracting and it's not like flying everywhere, right? Because if you see, it's very intentional in terms of how I filmed it. You see the hero shot usually has a bit more movement because the whole screen is just the video. But if you scroll down here, you can see these are all stagnant, right? There isn't a lot of scrolling, there isn't a lot of movement, it's just static at one specific section. And then this one is a bit more movement, and then same for this one. There isn't a lot of movement because it's split like that, and if you have a lot of things going on, it's just very distracting. Yeah, finally got all of that done. That was very painful to do. One more thing since I'm here, right? If you see here, there's just this thing here like that. But initially, if you see in this file here, right? If I come to the layers, you can see there's a blur layer here. So initially, the background image is the main image, and then there's the blur to apply the blur on it. Because adding blur on your canvas, it will cause some lag. gives the device more things to load. And giving blurs and drop shadows are usually one of the main reasons why your website will lag. I didn't realize until quite a while later that actually I can just export the whole thing. I could just take this one out, export it with the blur, so the image itself has the blur already, and then import it back in. That was a bit tedious as well because I only realized that after I'd done every single project already. So every single project obviously has a different background image, right? So I only realized this after I populated everything, and then I was like, fuck, I can do this instead. So I had to replace every single one again. So yeah, there's a lot of exploring here that wasted a lot of time, but at least now I know, right? And hopefully sharing this to you doesn't waste your time as well. Let's talk about the AI portion, because this is pretty new, right? If you see on the left panel here, there's a shit ton of conversations here, okay? I just kept asking it to do stuff for me, and initially I got it to create all these different code components, which I don't use, by the way. I don't think I use most of it. I think I only used this polar edited one. Yeah, the rest I pretty much didn't use. I just want to explore a little bit since it's available now. And then I had when this first launched, there was a competition and you can sign up for it and you could get free credits. So I got a bunch of free credits. Honestly, I had no intention to compete. I just wanted free credits and see what I can play with. So I got the free credits and then I started playing around. And what I would say the main thing that I used AI for is the QA and then the dark mode. So if you see the dark mode, light mode, right? It's also thanks to the AI, the Framer native AI agent, that I could do it in like, and then of course the QA as well, correcting all the bugs or the spacing errors or the spelling errors. Let's talk about the exploration a little bit because it didn't start out looking like that. So I have this bad habit where if I see something that I like, or if I have this vision in my head that, okay, I want the layout to be like this, I will just want it to be like that. Like, I'm not very flexible in that sense. This was the original layout that I wanted to go for. It's a bit fucked now because initially it didn't look like that, but I changed the components quite a few times, so that's why it looks like that now. But this was the general layout that I wanted to go for. I was so fixated on this for like the first whole week. I didn't want to change it. I just wanted it to be like that. I was not flexible, but because this isn't very practical, because this kind of only works when you have a one section page. But I just couldn't wrap my head around it, and then I was like, forget it. Let's just change it. So that's why I changed it to something really simple like this, with the headline right smack in the middle of the viewport, and then a bit of the project seeping into the hero so that it will interest you to start scrolling and see the projects, and then there's a short about me kind of page. Initially, I wanted to give also a lot more details about my life. I wanted to give more stories and stuff like that. I wanted to show off my Chinese side of me, which I could, right? I mean, I could. It's just that I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this because the original plan was to just update the fucking projects, right? So after a certain point of time, I was like, fuck it, never mind. I can leave this for another day, for another time when I want to update this. Honestly, in general, I think it's pretty nice to have this kind of simple and more motion involved kind of theme. Honestly, when I look at it, sometimes there are things that I want to change, but I just try not to think about it too much. And I think that's pretty nice. Oh, I forgot to talk about the archive. I think the archive is pretty sick. So I got this inspiration from a design engineer that I saw online, where she has this like fun page. And I didn't want to go so in-depth into this because hers is very comprehensive. And I was like, I can save it for another time. I didn't want to go too in-depth into this. So I just included some of the vibe coded projects that I've done. And then all my previous projects. And initially all of this were videos, kind of like the Vimeo one, but I think it's a bit too much. Like, imagine all of this are scrolling. It's just way too much to see. And I have the old homepage here. So there wasn't a dark mode for this, and I wanted I wanted the Framer agent to just update the text style, the color styles that are applied on the new pages, but fucking the agent just did everything for me, right? So it looks a bit buggy here. Let me see if I switch. Okay. So if I switch to light mode, you can see this was the previous design. And I think it's okay. With the one I have now, it's a lot more user flow driven. It's a lot easier to navigate compared to something like this. But let's see the traffic. So far, it just spikes when I release videos lah. Like you can see here, it comes from Instagram, YouTube, Google, LinkedIn. Hopefully this was valuable for you. And yeah, oh shit, I forgot to introduce myself. So if you haven't seen my stuff before, hi, my name is Jay. I'm a visual designer, web designer, and I've been building hundreds of different web pages every year for brands and companies. And the goal of doing content like this is to the point of doing content like this is to document my process and, more importantly, hopefully convince potential clients to want to work with me. So yeah, that's about everything I wanted to talk about for this project. I've been rambling for quite long, and yeah, thank you for watching.